Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to what will be the Regional Minor Championship. Of course, the CIS side of things for the E-League 2017 major event. Of course, this is our qualifiers. As mentioned, we are going to be going straight back into this one. It, of course, is going to be the Group B matchup. And, well, we always talk about comfort. We lecture it pretty hard about how incredibly important it is. That's why at times it can take us a little while to get into things. But it's all down to the players making sure they do get themselves nice and comfortable.
Yeah, we are live now with the ninth round, so just to talk about things as well, Tengri did play Quantum yesterday on Mirage, same map here. So, it was a 16-14 scoreline yesterday, and actually Tengri won that. So what happened in the previous match when teams the previous morning playing the same map against the same team didn't really change too much. So hopefully, if you're Quantum fans right now, something different will be said about this game. We saw Tengri play two close matchups, 16-14 versus Quantum, a following match versus Team Spirit. They actually lost that one 16-14 as well, so every single game for Tengri so far this minor has been very, very close, all 30 rounds. And in that second game versus Spirit, they're actually 12-6 up on cash, and the experience definitely showed on the side of Spirit. They came back and they won that. Hopefully that isn't really playing and sinking in the minds of these Tengri players. Hopefully they're still not thinking about, we shouldn't be here, we should have won that previous match yesterday. Hopefully there's no frustration there.
Yeah, certainly, of course. Got to look at these players, and one that's always going to be the first player that with his own right has to be mentioned, Ramzik, and especially because of something that we knew he was young, but we didn't realize just how young he was, and considering his talent, that's pretty damn amazing.
Yeah, you could see by the way he plays, very, very fast, very, very aggressive, very high risk, high reward. Usually when you see players play like that, it's generally when they're very young. So looking at his HLTV age, he's 16, and you got to be thinking that is a lot of talent in the making. Potentially, but the problem is that talent takes years and years to nurture and fester and to become something, to become, more refined as a player. Right now, he's the aggressive AWPer that's getting those entry frags for his team, and he likes the fast flicks, the fast AWPing style, which is good on a map like Mirage, where it's all about the AWP in middle.
Well, you talk about being fast and having almost that kind of Speedy Gonzalez style to you. Rocker. Now, he was a player that we screamed his name a fair bit too.
On Train, that was different. The thing about Train was, I mentioned before that he is more of a passive style, basically the complete opposite. I believe he's also calling as well for the Quantum side, so complete opposite style of AWPers. And on Train, the passive AWPer on CT works so well because the T's have to run into you from Ivy, from T main and whatnot. Problem is on Mirage, it's quite different, especially when you're on the T side. You need to be playing for the picks for your team, and if you're the passive AWPer like we saw yesterday he was, just, staying at top mid, only peeking towards window and B short push, not really playing aggressive. I don't want to see that. I want to see some aggression and some early picks come out for him.
Well, we have ourselves a game on our hands because we are going to be going straight into this one, of course. In terms of what we get to see, it is going to be some Kevlar pretty much across the board with Tengri having Kevlar aside from that one drop coming in from Dastan. Of course, he will take the hit, and a similar affair for QB, just standard stuff, the kit on Baub.
Now the bait coming from Palace, you see he's trying to peek out and try and get some attention. This might draw a rotation from that player in mid, and he's now leaving Whorehouse towards B shot, but the first frag comes up for Baub. Can there be any more? It's my spraying down, but it's going to be Waterfalls and Rocker to find a frag. Rocker finds a second one there, and it's my trying to get the final one, but Dastan will find him, and this B contact play is a complete disaster.
Yeah, it's just a tough one for him to work with at this point. He's all alone. I mean, where could he even run to at this point? Try to run towards underpass, get into connector. It's all well and good.
12 HP, yeah.
There's always going to be someone there ready and waiting for you no matter where you run.
Yeah, so undo here in connector, rotated from B short. I'm going to peek up now and then find this first frag. Yeah, first frag, first round, going in favor of Quantum. So, that round, the B contact. Fine play. The problem is you have to win the Angels, and instead they stand there, try and take Angels and try and battle the USPs instead of just jumping out of balcony. You need to play fast when you're playing versus USPs. Jump around, make it hard for them to headshot you. And that player that went and lurked towards A, trying to take a rotation from the CTs, he lost that 1 versus 1 duel, and that's so important. You have to get the kill, so that one of the players from mid, the mid player Rocker, would have rotated towards A, but instead he lost the 1 versus 1, and that meant that there was 3 players from the CT side towards B.
CS.
Obviously it nets them the first round.
This is going to run into CS. It's a game of chess, effectively. You make a move, your opposition, they make a move in return, and backwards and forwards things will swing, but eventually it culminates in some frags that leads to a round. That is the basics. Sometimes we do see a bit of a wrench in the works, and that could be what this B-side push potentially could wound up to be. But in the same regard, look at this crossfire.
I do like the smoke actually smoking off the first pillar of short, and that will make it futile if you are the CTs playing more of a retake style. But the problem is, look at the CT setup. They are playing quite close onto the B site, and this player B short he's actually playing get right now. So when that smoke comes into the first pillar, he will not be smoked off. So Tengri expecting more of a passive setup from the CTs, but actually playing quite close ranged versus these pistols on the B site.
Being very, very patient as well. Really just, kind of setting themselves up nice and comfortably. And it's a different way to approach things. Usually on these kind of second rounds, we see teams just going to go, okay, yeah, we're just going to push, going to go real quick with these Tech 9s. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But no, they calculated it, they waited. But can they actually make something happen? As it's me going to find himself the first headshot. Bow with a quick second. But the response to some Fitch, is it going to be good enough? The answer is going to be denial. Tengri, the door has been slammed shut in their face as Daston all alone yet again.
Yeah, and that execute falls completely flat. The smoke comes out, but the Molotov from Valve denies the plant. And the T's, they have to get aggressive. They have to try and kill the players that are playing close sight. I think they're expecting more of a passive setup coming up from the CT side. I mentioned before that smoke being completely useless because that CT player was playing at the second pillar, not the first one. So the smoke not really doing much to him. And instead, the failed aggression from the T's, they will fall that round 2-0 lead now for Quantum. We've got to think as well. They are going to be taking the third one. It's actually the technical pause coming out. Ramzik, actually, when I was watching Ramzik, when they were first prepping up to go live, he's constantly changing his monitor, constantly changing the way his mousepad was, his keyboard or whatnot, trying to find, trying to be comfortable in where he was. And mentioned before, he's very, very young, 16, probably used, not used to the LAN setup, not used to playing in an environment like this, more used to playing at home. Can he find comfort? Because he is their star player. And if they need someone to wake up and, get those first frags and play well, play with confidence, most importantly, it's Ramzik.
I certainly can agree with you on that one, of course. A player with confidence can just do so much to your team because, I look at this and go, sometimes it's not just all about the frags, right? It's not about the stats. If he's got confidence, if he, is being vocal and he's believing at the end of the day, the rest of the team, they're going to be feeling that energy.
Yeah, especially, but I'm not too sure if these are more of like the hypey momentum sort of team like we saw VWS playing as before, winning those rounds, getting so hyped. I'm not sure if that's really going to play into the favour. You look at these players, and it's only really Ramzik, I believe, that's a young player here with the inexperience, so more of a calm, collected style, which I quite like, actually, when you are playing with someone that young. It's a very up and down style. When you play with such, I don't want to say momentum, what's the word I'm looking for? Hype, like, you win a round, you scream, you lose a round, and you're completely silent, and it can completely kill the mood of the team. So it's very up and down, it's very... What's the word I'm looking for here?
You're looking for, I think, the easiest way to sum things up is you want a balanced level of passion.
Yeah,
because with hype, you're basically kind of going up and down.
Say, nice, boys, well done. But you don't want to scream and shout. Because obviously, once the rounds don't go in your favour, you need the mental fortitude to stay in the game and to not give up.
Yeah, so at the end of the day, it's not over until we get 16 rounds on the board for a team. And up until that point, you can keep on fighting. There is always a route back, no matter how hard it may be. But at times, that can be a pretty damn tough task. Because, of course... Tough task, that is something that sits quite true with this round, to be honest, if you look at things. Tengri,
for sure.
Just these pistols. Let's look and see if they can get a pick here and there, perhaps, but I think they know as much as we know. Them even getting onto us a site, especially considering their positions, the bomb solo top of mid. Getting less and less likely about a second.
Yeah, actually having a little bit of technical issues, so we'll be a few seconds behind, but not too important into this round. I can just reset that. Would be Gucci. Anyway, the first frag coming for It's My. Already the second frag of the round, so 3 versus 5, no armor, and just pistols on these players. Going to be seeing potentially the 3-0 lead for Quantum here, and honestly, let's not talk too much about this round. I want to talk on the next one. I want to see the aggression from Ramzik, try and find the first frags in mid. Maybe if he gets the B spawn, try and catch the CT player jump spotting. Maybe if he gets the spawn towards ramp or palace, try and catch that player rotating towards stairs. What we saw happen yesterday, when Ramzik wasn't finding the first frags, Tengri, not really showing too much there. They do rely so much on their young star player.
It's reliance, but not only is that a bit of a double-edged sword because of the the pros and cons of that, but also it's just a level of hope, to be honest. If he steps up, this match could change on an entire new feel, but it is the same sort of regard I feel for Rocker as well. See what work he can do with that AWP as we are, of course, well and truly into this one. It's going to be some short aggression coming in, but the elevated angle leads us to a 1-for-1 trade. Fitch going to find that return. But Balb, he's looking to fill the hole that has once been left unclaimed as now he goes for a bit of a jump spot of his own, leaks towards underpass, ever so close to nade, almost certainly going to be dropped, but is he going to claim the life? No, Keen steps away, but the skin of his teeth is going to walk away for the most part unscathed. 64 HP, not a bleak number by a long shot. And this is the reset period for Tengri now, because they can sit back, they can come up with a new plan to hit towards the site. And QB, they're limited information. Do they know that it's going to be this flat-out committal?
4 versus 4 now. The CTs are split in their defense. 2 players towards A, 2 players towards B. But the shot has been missed. Rocker needed to hit that if he wanted any chance of holding on the B side. But I take that back because Balb finds 2 headshots there. But Dastan will find the reply frag. We'll take him down. Fitch and Dastan in the 2 versus 2.
2v2 is going to be a tough one, especially when you miss those sort of jumps, as that could have been a play, but perhaps also a bit of a saving grace just being pulled down by the Angel that once was, because now he at least gets his life left intact. But he's got 30 seconds. They have to make a play. Naston going to be running with his legs real quick over towards ramp, but gets spotted out. And at this point, with Waterfalls getting that information, the peek from short, going to be inevitable. Rocker going to find the headshot. Now for Dastan, his hopes and dreams, well, rapidly dwindling, just getting knocked on down as he peeks out on towards the site, looking for the frag towards jungle. Gets a quick flick. That's huge on those Waterfalls. How on earth does he land that? But he's still going to be trying to play for this plant. Rocker not quite going to go for the wallbang just yet. Just going to be sitting ever so comfortably and overall very tight on this angle. But he's got an AWP, remember, so he has to really kind of live true to that point.
Oh, catches the leg and Dastan wins it. I mentioned before, these players, look how calm they are. They've just won that most important round of the half for them so far. They're so calm and collected. This is good. Hopefully seeing a strong mental fortitude from these players. But to talk about that round, the 4 versus 4, the T's that Tengri, they knew when to take it slow. They knew that eventually the CTs should have to push. Fitch finds that player pushing. Dastan as well gets the reply flag onto Baub. And when that shot first missed from Rocker, I thought that could just be it. The B side would have been the T's, but it's going to be Baub stepping up there. It does find 2 frags, but enough about the past and into the present. It's going to be the 2 Galils on the T side. No AWP again. They've just won the previous round, but the fact is a 1 versus 1 means their money is so low. And if QB Fire can win this, they shall reset the economy of Tengri.
Looking like things are going to be a bit of a setup over towards mid. Waiting to see if it is going to lead to a pick, though. This is going to be a bit of a pedestal to be held by It's Me. Going to be looking for something, but for now, they haven't really got too much left to find. These smokes, they are the perfect shroud. And one that will act just to almost be a CT side left indiscreet, as It's Me does find that first pick on towards Ramzik, and now just gets to fall back and be passive towards the B site. They have the man advantage. Why push further?
Yes, you're right. Already got the man advantage, so play nice and passive. The 5 versus 4, don't give away some frags. Yes, play for information, but just don't commit. Jiggle peek angles, flash peek angles. Just try and play for information. Don't commit and don't give away your life when you don't need to. Keep playing like that. The thing is, they have the player connected so they can regroup and go towards A. And this is important because once those players come out ramp, Keen can try and peek out and try and get a backstab frag onto A. If he finds that frag, we could be seeing the T's taking the second round.
It certainly would be in the ideal world, as Rocker is going to connect that shot. Keen going to fly towards jungle, finds the frag on towards Waterfalls in return. Rocker still trying to respond backwards and forwards. Things are still going to be swinging. Dastan, another headshot to add to the tally. He was huge in the past, but can Andu look to really do his job, live up to the name? As Dastan again swings him from the side, comes in from shadow, finds a shot and will get it down by the skin of his teeth. 10 seconds left on the clock, but now the bomb going down will extend him, buys him some time, but he's still peeking around this box, still going to be ever so stuck. He's being pushed in from every angle. There's nowhere he can run, and he will pay the price, that being his life.
He does fall there, and going towards Firebox, you really got to be expecting that jump peek coming from the left side. Potentially could have seen him crouch behind that Firebox, watch for the jump peek, kill the player that jump peeked, and then he would have been in the 1 versus 1. But unfortunately for him, exposes himself for so many angles and does fall in the 1 versus 2. And Tengri, they are reset right now. This is so bad for them. They are going to be on the Tech 9 low buy, I believe. Can't quite see just yet. Maybe they're going to opt for the full save and try and get AWPs in their hands onto their players. They won the rifle, the AWP rifle onto Ramzik, and instead, no, they go for the full Uzi force buy.
Certainly excited to see what they can get done with this force buy. Ballsy, perhaps even a bit of an understatement at this point. This is a huge risk for them, but at the same time, they're looking for that upset, but they're not going to check their corners, and that right there is devastating. But can they at least find the trade? Yes, they can, as Fitch snapping headshot as they crack on away, looking to keep on snapping this whip home at this point now as they've got themselves onto the site. Now that's the most important part, but if you thought QB wouldn't rotate, you've got a whole other thing coming to you as they are quick on their heels. They're coming in from a 2-pronged attack. 2 members from CT, 1 will be over towards the top of mid, and information will almost certainly be garnered.
Well, the bomb is down, so they have all the information they need. Rocker actually finding Sonic. The Molotov flushes him out right into the scope of his AWP, and now Baub onto the site. They can smoke off the bomb here. They need to smoke the bomb and not the checkpoints. This is the problem. They smoke off pallets, and now 1 player will push through. The second player as well. It's a failed smoke, and Fitch, he does win that trade. The spray comes out. He does find 1 frag. 1 versus 1. Rocker is low HP. Keating peeking out. Does he expect him to stick it? He does, and he peeks out. And right there, you can see why. I believe it was Fallen actually that mentioned this. He said that it's always better when you only have the 1 or 2 smokes just to smoke off the bomb and not smoke the choke points, and instead force the T's to push out into the angles that you have. And you saw up in there that failed smoke towards ramp. There was a gap in it. Ultimately making that smoke completely useless. And Fitch finds that frag, and then a smoke again onto Palace. Just walks through, and it's completely useless. And the defuse has not come out, and Rocker loses that 1 versus 1.
We described it as a risk. We said it was something ever so suspectly ballsy. Well, now they get the reward, and that is a broken side of QB in terms of economics. Well, albeit some damage will be inflicted on towards Fitch, but that is looking like it's going to be about it. As for Tengri, this is their foothold. Now they're beginning to climb that mountain and get themselves back into things. Of course, looking at what should be 4-3, it's me. Going to be the last man remaining.
So, moving into this round, Tengri, they are going to be playing versus the buy of the CT side, and now they have all their money in their hands. They did win the force buy. Could be seeing an AWP potential Ramzik. If not, maybe 5 rifles, maybe some smokes towards A. Use those rifles in close quarters. Quad kill actually there for Ramzik. Very, very good round for him, but obviously it's versus Eco, so more of a stat padding round there. Nothing too major that will inflict the rest of the half. And actually the second Eco coming up from the CT side, so Rocker, he wants the AWP for mid. He definitely wants to play off of that, and it's going to be interesting to see. He is the caller to see if he will change the strats based off him.
Certainly there's a point and something to keep an eye on, but for now, it's more damage to be inflicted, and this is pretty much, for QB, just an axe hanging over their heads. They're waiting for it to fall. They know it's going to be inevitable, but, whether they can make it at least, a little bit more of a prettier sight is the key talking point, as they are going to be at least looking for minimum 1. Going to be a bit of a flying nade, but doesn't lead to much. But hey, Ramzik straight through the box nonetheless will do the job. Rocker over towards jungle. Taps on away with a USP, but unfortunately shoulder shots, not really what you're looking for. You're going for those headshots, especially when you are in that sort of position. Waterfalls over towards ramp. Could peek out and catch off Ramzik from behind. Looks like timing may have been a little bit more disappointing. The crouch, so well done from Ramzik. He just goes for a bit of an accidental one at that, but it pays off. Not quite going to save the life of Dastan, however. But hey, it's a frag. Nothing really too crazy. And overall, the real round we were waiting for is going to be this one, the full buy.
Yep, the double save puts so much pressure right now onto this round. If they lose this, the T's will have the advantage going into the first half. And if you already see 6-4 in favor of Tengri at this point, they're going to be so happy with that. They've already got 6 rounds on the board for the T side, potentially. But it all depends on this round. And I mentioned they double saved, and the reason they've done that is because they want 2 AWPs. Probably going to see one go towards B short, maybe. Have one B short, and then have one in mid. Actually, no, it's going to be It's My there with his rifle. Second AWP, I'm not too sure where it is, but wherever it is, it needs to try and find information. Because once those smokes come in and the X2 comes out, having 2 AWPs in that retake is going to be so difficult.
Yeah, a wise man once said, AWPs are only really useful in the first 40, 50 seconds at a push, but after that, it does become to be a bit more of a tougher predicament for a CT side. But it's just going to be peeking in towards connector and fairly wide about it, but doesn't really get too much in reward as It's Me. He's going to punish him on towards Keen, so at least his teammate takes the blow. Even then, you have to look towards the CT side now. They're the ones with the information. Smart peek, as you say, and for Tengri now, how do they respond to this? They're still stuck over towards mid.
Wasn't the peek that was smart, it was the team flash he got from the player that was towards A. Not too sure which player it was. I think it was Waterfalls that flashed over from him, over top of connector, allowing him to retreat safely. And as long as he doesn't give away his life here, unfortunately he does. He overfaces. There's no need to play B short. You have no help from connector. You should only really be playing aggressive B short if you have help from connector. And instead, he dies alone, and with no refrag, it's the 4 versus 4. 30 seconds on the clock now, and now the T's have all to play for, but all 4 of them are mid, so they're all going to be having to tunnel through a very tight choke point and actually bow find for first.
We'll talk about going through a choke point, but 2 of them went short. 2 of them seem to be kind of lurking towards the A side. Very, very weird stuff coming out from them, and the shot on the cross, not quite going to land. Rocker going to go aggressive, tries to deny the plant, but he's not quite quick enough by the skin of his teeth. Will at least get himself tucked into a corner, but even then, it is just skin dangling on away as Dastan. He's just going to sit tight, tuck himself in a corner of his own. Bit by bit going to peek one out. Rocker going to be holding the angle, but look at Sonic. He's behind him, and he's going to Waterfalls with the quick flick to the right. Makes this one completely changes things up. A second shot on towards Dastan. If Waterfalls didn't hit that shot, we were looking at a completely different round.
As soon as Rocker whiffed that shot onto the player going towards short, you just saw the coach there just have his hands in his face and just sigh, and just thinking, what the hell is going on? Where's my team? Why are they whiffing all these easy AWP shots? I mean, Rocker, we saw before as well, when they were going B apps, not B short, he whiffed the easy ones as well. He's not fast style AWP. He's more of a passive, slow and steady style AWP. But the problem is, you play that setup, you have to hit the easy shots. You can't whiff those. But the round still does go in favor because Waterfalls with his AWP finds the hard frags and does net them the first round. And facing towards mid, he will see nothing. The top mid smoke comes out. And if the T's can take control of top mid, let's see if Ramzik can use his AWP and try and worm his first pick.
He's trying, but we'll talk about worming. All he's doing right now is squirming around, not really anything heading his direction. Finds the flick on towards Waterfalls towards the end, though. It didn't look like he was even going to hit that, but feels almost a bit of an overface coming on in, so certainly surprised in how he gets away with it. Certainly going to be eating my own words there, as Rocker will find a trade of his own. But for Tengri, we do have that man advantage, and that's going to be most important, especially when you have to look towards where that bomb is, then add the context of the CT side. This B site, it's wide open. It's saying, well, one clear message. Come and get me.
Oh, my goodness, Keen gets the pre-fire headshot through the smoke, and that could just be the nail in the coffin for this round. This could be the reset for QB5. If they don't find the early frags, Rocker finds one. He needs to find the second here, otherwise it will be the 3 versus 1. Dashes over towards stairs. Does he expect the second player in connector? That might just spray him in the back if he gets unlucky timing here. It does fall off stairs, so Key won't be seeing him. But the problem is both these CT players are on A. The bomb is going towards B.
Keen as well is going to find that frag, and this just leaves him now. Well, Rocket on what was a mission to have an impact in the round and actually make this one winnable. Now it's all about saving, and even then, he's going to walk into the crosshair of Ramzik, who, gotta say, breaks the expectations because, just throwing back towards mid, all he was pretty much, able to do was spam through the smoke, right? That was basically what, what his game plan was, but nothing was landing. But then, in comparison, it felt like the CT side, they stuck around a little too long. That first kind of 20-30 seconds, once you don't get too much information towards mid, if you reface dry with an AWP, is that really the greatest play?
I mean, what we saw there was actually the AWP kill coming from ramp that killed Waterfalls when he was stairs. So the frag wasn't towards mid. The frag that was in mid was Fitch, where he spotted that player that just ran up B short with no flash. Just trying to get some information after his teammate died, trying to think if it was an A execute, but he fell. So did the round and the reset coming out. They are going to force into this one, as obviously their money is so low. So Deagles, pistols, and so forth into this round. And if they can get this, they can reset Tengri. But Tengri, they did win the previous force buy. So battle of the forces potentially, but no early frags going in favor of either side.
Certainly a bit of a blunder across the board. These pistols currently having to play at range, but in an ideal world scenario, they will pitch themselves to be much more up close and personal. And Tengri heading towards the A site is pretty good for that. But then again, you have to look at the fact that they're rotating because Undo is pushed. Now, one man with a deagle pushing, I don't see too much value in this. He needs to find his first pick. Is going to do that on towards Aston, but at this point now the T side, they know what's coming. They know he's gone aggressive. QB should now have that information, the subtle prompt to, okay, maybe we should think about rotating, but even then relying on these deagles.
Yeah, the T's as well. They are playing together, so they need to find that frag, but the problem is Ramzik whiffs that and does fall to the rifle of Undo, and now Waterfalls in the off angle here. Under balcony, yep, that player does not expect it. Sonic falls, still no frags for him this game. The deagle spray does not quite connect, but it's going to be Fitch in the 1 versus 4. Does fall. Look at the stress on those players. You can see his heart just racing. So much relief there into that round, and he will take that one through. The reset now coming out for Tengri. We saw them win their reset previously, but the thing I wanted to talk about as well is yesterday when both these teams played Mirage, it was the CT side from Quantum that got them all their rounds to come back into the game. We saw Tengri have such a strong CT side with Ramzik's AWP, and the question is right now, 6 right now, enough?
Not only that, but for me, these AWPs, they're just being a bit all over the place. The picks they're getting, not really quite what I was expecting to see over towards mid. Mid is in itself proving to be a bit of a void, and that's what's almost going to throw me off guard when looking from an upwards angle down at this game and going, okay, well, these positions are being played, but the picks just
it's
being
not just that
in a
as
very
well.
fruitful manner.
It's hard to be an IGL and a caller to have consistent calls when you don't have consistent frags. What I'm trying to say is, if you don't always get the frag in that certain place, it's hard to make the right mid-round call, and especially when you're playing of AWPers that are more of the fast and, flicky style, it's hard to get consistent entries onto sites and try and make strats that way. But then again, it's the wildcard factor. You saw Ramzik hitting some crazy shots. It's going to be Fitch there with the crazy ones for himself. Does find 2 on towards B. And Rocker again in kitchen. He whiffs the shot again.
What is these AWPs? They're missing the shots left, right, and center. This is not quite going to work. Sonic, he's going from behind. Now, he did this before. He got shut down. But this time, he's not necessarily as needed. He's going to turn his back. But still, going to seal the deal with that frag. So Tengri, they get themselves around, but
they get 6. most importantly, they get 6. 6 is just enough they need. Even if they lose the next 3, the 9-6 half, I mean, it's going to be so good for them. We saw how good the CT side was yesterday. And Ramzik, he's using this first half on his T side just to warm up a little bit, get his AWP flicks on the go, and then moving into that CT side, try and get some aggression there, try and find the first picks for his team. But enough about the next half. Think about the rest of this one. Moving into this round, the force buy does come out from QB5. They can force into this one, lose the next one on the full eco, and then they'll have a 4 buy into the last round. But that telegraphs that they might be looking to go 8-7.
Waterfalls gonna find himself the quick 1D on towards Fitch, but the push is a lot of pent-up aggression from Tengri, and they're all coming in from one funnel point, and that can actually be more punishing than good at this point. It's just look at how low Sonic and Keen are. A couple of shots here and there on towards Keen, or a single on towards Sonic could end his day, especially when you then add into the mix. But nonetheless, to kind of cut that one off, it's going to be the slam dunk from Ramzik. Makes this one a little bit more doing, especially when you add in the numbers to the mix. As Dastin again, another on towards Itzme, and well, bit by bit, our hopes of the pistols have started to fall away.
Yeah, right now, pistols fall away into the hopes of QB5 into this round, and the spray comes out from Dastin. He will take him down. 7-6 already for Tengri. And now, as I mentioned before, they can force that round, lose this one, obviously on the full eco, and then they can 4 buy into the next round. And the problem is, though, 6, potentially, if you are the QB IGL right now, you're thinking in your head, I can get 7 rounds here, try and make this 8-7. Even though they lose the half, if they win the T-pistol, their T-pistol, they can get to 10. If they can get to double digits from there, it's anyone's game.
It's all about finding that vector of attack. Once you found it, you can then use that to try and exploit your opposition. But that search, it can be sometimes tougher than it may seem, as it is going to be a slow but sure push. Nearly a bit of a TK, but instead, the fire, well, it's going to be shoved on away by Undu as he finds himself 2 back-to-back one-taps with his P2000. Eventually, will pay the price, that being, once again, his life. But the Old Faithful has made it costly, as a 3 versus 3 will present itself, and you have to look towards Waterfalls. He's still left standing. He gets himself the one thing. Goes for the quick second now on towards Keen. Yes, we get a trade, but Baub with a deagle, still making this one ever so close and personal. Now is Keen, the last man remaining, going to be pushed in from these angles. Finds himself the tag. But he's stuck over towards ramp. The Molotov going to be landing at his feet, forces him to push on out. This double peak could end his day.
The QB5 coach there, manager with his heads in his hand. So much stress on these players right now with no armor versus Keen and that FAMAS. It's Smile the pistol. Baub has the rifle, but he's low HP. That's not what you want in this situation. The bomb as well. He has 40 seconds to work with. It's my God, the wrong angle. What's he doing? They're not playing together, not covering each other. Baub wins the spray down as he has got 10 HP, but still wins it. And right there, you saw the CT players. They were not covering for each other, and that's why Itzmai was caught off guard. He thought Baub had his push from Tetris.
Yeah, just a bit all over the place though in terms of team play. That's a given, and apparently that's showing with their handshakes as well. It seems.
5 rifles though coming up from the T side. Sorry, top mid smoke and hopefully mid control coming up from the T's here as they will throw that smoke, flashes and so forth going from there. And actually, Molly connector, typical default towards mid, but it's Rocker now with his AWP, and Ramzik hasn't got his. So if Tengri opt to play nice and slow, it may play into the favor of Rocker and try and get those first picks. But Sonic here trying to get himself a frag or 2. As unfortunately for him, we haven't seen too much from him. But the aggression has not paid off just yet. Just, shows his hand a little bit too early.
Yeah, certainly can agree, and very, very quiet overall, I think, is kind of what sits in my mind right now. It's just been, a couple of players here and they're not really showing up in, that pretty of a fashion, so certainly would be nice to see a little bit more of a wake-up effect, but at the end of the day, it's 7-7, it's competitive. It's working for them. As long as they're playing as a team, sometimes stats, not all that adds up.
Yeah, I mean, for all we know, these amazing mid-round calls we've been seeing from Tengri, there could be help from Sonic, obviously one of the most experienced players on this team. And you've got to think, hopefully the experience he brings, he can help out a player like Ramzik, who is, only 16. So, enough about that. More into the round. That Palace push is going to make so much information. Does he expect the players ramp? And Ramzik finds a kill towards CT. Now it's just that player. CT finds another one. Oh my goodness, under here. He needs to be fast. He needs to find multiple frags. He needs 2 here. Can he get them in the back?
It's going to be bare minimum as he finds the first, looking for the second, goes for the spray transfer, and albeit very, very rough, not quite the masterpiece we were searching for, but it still is a painting, and one nonetheless that he can sell, as he is just going to be looking to sit around towards ramp. Ramzik going to try and force the issue and gets a headshot in return, so leaves it to a 1v1. And the bomb is going to find its way down, but it is going to be that push coming in from Itzme now. Like, he's on towards stairs, so has himself an opportunity to work with, but the shot is going to go off. They know the information, and well, what a way to close it out. A crisp one tap.
Got to think there, why the hell is Undu facing? The 2 versus 1 18 seconds on the clock. Just let him get the bomb down. He's going to have to fake the bomb and try and find out where both of you are. So just play it slower. Instead, the aggression there, you can see on his face, he's not happy with that one. Gets a bit too premature and pulls the trigger too early. Tries to get the frag and try and, take the situation to his own hands instead of playing it nice and passive and nice and smart. And potentially throws that round.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong again here, Snods, but something that sits for me right now, and it's been very, very apparent, is that it feels like, when we kind of allude to certain points, we think that rounds have been slow. It seems to be, there seems to be very clear, trademarks of this matchup. There's been no really kind of, one-hit wonders per se.
One-hit wonders in terms of players or strats, as in like
strategy.
Rushing towards. Yeah, so I can agree with you there. But enough about that. We can talk about that afterwards because Fitch holding off angle connected will go down early to Rocker. That's the first frag in the entry towards A, and they are playing the double CT retake, but they don't have the kit.
The kid is going to be uncomfortable. They find that first pick, but it's going to be Rocker to respond, and Keen going to be stuck in a bit of a predicament here, but he's making it work. He's finding these one-taps, but he's going to be shot down. The Tech 9 can go hard and fast, and that is going to be enough. And look at the T side. They know that sitting on the A side is going to be a risk, and well, why not push and go for a bit of a role reversal? They start back on over, and there's no one there to stop them. They get this one in effect for free.
No armor, though. These players don't have armor, but they do have one-shot headshot guns at close range with that Tech 9, and hopefully they can find those duels. But Balb now has to find the frag now to Dastan, but the crouch peek, unexpected there, and he will survive. And Sonic now, can he get around? Can he get a frag on the board? Yes, he can. Finds one. Now it's my, with the aim punch, not going in his favor. The reface from Dastan will find him that frag, and pistol going in favor of Tengri.
I think that's incredibly smart from Sonic, because you look at his position, he could have gone for the much quicker rotate and tried to face straight away, but him choosing to go for the longer base route to come from apps, as much as right at the start of the round that doesn't have that instant success.
Yep.
That frag that he found in that 2v2 pretty much seals it for them.
Might not be the most frags, but along with Keen, it's going to be the most impactful frags for that round and potentially the half. And I mentioned before, Tengri on their CT side, they are phenomenal on it, especially Ramzik with his AWP, and they've already got themselves 9, potentially leading into that, another one following. But obviously the bomb did go down for Quantum, so they are going to eco this with no armor. Then the next round they will have their rifles, but no AWP.
The lack of AWP could be an interesting topic in itself, but we'll jump into that when it takes place. For now, let's see what these pistols can do. Can they get themselves even close? That's proving to be a bit of an issue in itself. Sonic is going to shut down the first, looking for the continuous spray down, has to swap out for the pistol, and that will be the more fatal blow. QB playing for a plant going to be difficult, but Ramzik sitting on the brink of death, but gets away with it. 9 HP.
Good for the economy as well then. To touch on the point you mentioned earlier as well about strats and which strats have been working, which haven't. Right now, it feels like whenever the round is slowed down and the pace is much slower, it seems like those rounds always go in the favor of Tengri. And it feels like, for me, they have such a good mix of players. They have Fitch and Ramzik, the young star talents, the young star aimers. And then they have Sonic, Keen, and Dastan, these players who are far more slower paced, more experienced. It just seems like they have a good balance of players right now. Ramzik, I mentioned the aggression. I found the first frag, but unfortunately he won't. And he didn't even get too much information as well, as he only saw one player.
Flash is going to go off, and it's going to be a bit of a bait and switch as the drop is going to come out. Waterfalls has made the information be gone for the CT side. But Dastan, he's only able to do so much. His arms can only extend so far as it leads us to this constant trading game. But this mechanism is such an easy one to be shot on down, as now they have to come in for a retake. And, well, on paper, this is going to be tough. Then you add in just even more context. You look towards the positions of this T side. You look towards what they have in their back pocket in terms of these flashes. It's a constant barration towards the CT side. They have their work completely cut out for them. But nonetheless, they will begin. Looking like it is going to be that first pick over towards bench, providing they can connect it. But meanwhile, Rocker will take down Fish towards short, leaving Sonic now to do all of the work alone.
In the 1 versus 2, will be sprayed down by Itzmite. So there's going to be the first buy round going in favor of Quantum. And Tengri, they're not really too upset with that. They did have SMGs and so forth in that round. So it's not the end of the world for them. They know that once the full buys come out, once Ramzik has the AWP, that's when it really matters. And they've already got the 1 round lead, and they are on the favoured side, and their favoured side as well, most importantly. Their CT is usually their side of comfort. Their buy is quite a mess, isn't it? Rifles and pistols, but utility, most importantly.
Yeah, they've whipped out a bowl of spaghetti and pretty much threw it all over the floor at this point. Very, very all over the place buy. But at the end of the day, it's a tool set, right? If a guy gives you a hammer and says this is a hammer, then it is what it says in the tin. Does the job. So let's see if these rifles can at least step up to the plate, be the core 3, and then the pistols just add into that with some damage here and there, and perhaps even utilize their close range ability to be aggressive, which, aggression, a bit of an apt buzzword at this point, as Fitch so far in towards Palace. if he keeps on pushing, can net himself the frag onto Zepmi, but the timing has to be absolutely perfect. This me has an idea of his own, and he's just going to be looking. It looks like Fitch has decided, you know what, perhaps this isn't worth it after all.
Yeah, the solo aggression didn't work out for Ramzik in the previous round, but it is the young star players that are playing aggressive. When you have two aggressive riflers and two aggressive players, it goes hand in hand, and they get so much map control and such map presence. But the problem is, they're not using it. Have a player in Palace pushed up, but there's still a player CT. He doesn't need to be here. Maybe potentially playing retake towards B, and Dastan is playing for information, so once his B contact player comes out, the rotations shall come in.
And they could be beautiful, especially if it bounces off the wall. It's going to do a little bit of damage here and there. The Molotov is going to try and tick on away, but even then, is it going to be enough? The answer is going to be no. Ramzik has to hold off this cross. He needs to hit every single shot. He cannot afford to miss as he finds the headshot on towards Rocker as well. Great work coming out from him, but he's only keeping it competitive. This is not just clear out of the woods just yet as Keen with the headshot on towards Waterfalls. Starts to really bring this one home. But Balb looking to fight on back, and he does the job as well. Itzmi comes in from short, but the pistols now. We talked about how they could go up close and personal. Sonic, a double kill.
Just weird faces from the T's there. No flashes. Instead, they just walk into the crosshair of Ramzik, and we know that he can find those frags if you give him the opportunities. But once again, QB5, they had the utility there to hold them off. Just flash the angles. Just play it nice and passive. You have the man advantage. Don't. Oh, he's not happy. He is definitely not happy at all. And we are seeing the tactical pause come out, and potentially this could be not quite a tactical pause where you talk about strats, especially on the CT side. There isn't really too much you can change up. But more of just a breather and just, you know, have a break, try and mentally reset.
It's tough though, right? I don't want to, I don't want to preface this to our viewers and say that, mentally resetting is an easy thing. It comes.
Oh, it's technical. It's actually technical.
Technical. I think the point still stands when it comes to having a breather, though, right? They still get that opportunity to sit down, albeit they don't necessarily get to talk. That's really, as you mentioned, not really the goal, nonetheless, of them, right? They want to sit there and just, breathe. Which, considering the amount of emotion we're seeing, you can almost apply the same sort of, knowledge to, like an animal sheds its skin. That's effectively as players right now. They need to shed those emotions, get themselves back into this one from a mentality point of view. But it comes back to the original point and what I started this off with, which is that's not easy. That takes a lot of mental fortitude.
I think the biggest thing as well is playing into his mind going forward. You mentioned emotion. It's kind of hard to shed emotion when right now I believe that they want the round to be reset. I don't think it's going to happen though, because obviously the round was played out far, far past 40 seconds. So I believe it will still stand, but I think what's going through his head right now is it's my fault we lost that round. It's my technical issue that made us lose that. It's my fault. And maybe it's because, not because, but maybe it's due to the fact he was whiffing those shots earlier. Maybe there's been a technical issue the whole game. Maybe I couldn't even tell you what the problem could be to whiff those easy shots. I couldn't tell you, but something's obviously not right, and that's going to play into the mind. And when you're playing into the AWPer's mind like that, that's going to hurt your confidence, and you need confidence on your AWPer.
I'm going to take a wild guess and say there is some issue of some sort with this PC, especially off the basis that he has his phone, because that means that Steam is going to play a role in it, which, if you have to log into Steam again, well, you can connect the dots. An educated guess tells you that it's almost certainly going to be a technical problem with the hardware of the PC, so hopefully that does get resolved nice and quickly. Of course, happens on stage and such are going to be working very, very hard to keep this delay to a minimum, but this does actually come at a rather nice time, to be honest, because the scoreline 11-8 as mentioned, we are at that point where this could still be brought back from the T side, but there are those clear mistakes. But at the same time for Tengri, there have been a lot of rounds where we've gone, okay, that's actually not that good from them either, so it's still been very, very 50-50. Reminds me of we'll get again another tug of war situation.
Yeah, I can agree with you there, but it feels like not really a tug of war. It feels more like QB Fire. They have the initial start. They always get ahead. It's more of a race towards the finish line. The finish line being the winner of the round. QB Fire, they always get ahead. You constantly see them get the first picks because the aggression comes out from these younger players. They throw away their life. It's the 4 versus 5. Then as the race, it's like the hare and the tortoise or whatever, where the mid round, once the pace is slowed, it always seems like Tengri find the mid round frags, and the frags are the most important leading into the finish line, and they always close out. It seems like the rounds constantly go in their favor. So the first frag, I mean, talk about the last round. The first frag goes in favor of Quantum. They get the kill towards B. Dastan falls with no frags. He was the only player on the site. Surely that's such a hard retake to do. But instead, Ramzik catches up with the frags as he finds 2 as the players just mindlessly walk into his crosshair and they fall in midair.
Yeah, it's such a tough one to work with though, right? And I think, I look at this now and we've talked a lot about mentality, we've talked a lot about resetting. Let's talk about the future from where we go from this, because you get into the mindset of Tengri, for example, and go, okay, they're on 11, they know they have that round lead, but they know that things haven't been perfect with them closing out these rounds. So for them, getting it nice and quickly over with is probably better for them. The longer this is drawn out, it questions their endurance.
That's hard to do on the CT side. Definitely hard to do on the CT side.
This is where things fall together, though, isn't it? It's not going to be easy for them to do what they need to do.
Yeah, but they are, on the terrorist side. Sorry to flip that around, but they are on the terrorist side, so I want to see some aggression. The problem is they did it last time, it worked out for them, but it's just that half the plants are so poor from these players. They're not covering each other. We saw what happened in that 2 versus 2 earlier on their CT side, where Itzma was caught completely off guard, thinking that Bab was watching his cover and his flank, but instead he wasn't. So poor lack of communication here going out from Quantum, and hopefully they can change up. Hopefully this break will allow them to mentally reset. Moving into that, they can play more as a team.
Looks like we are going to be getting into this one straight away. I can see the unpause has been called. And here we go. It's going to be the 20th round.
So, 5 rifles on Tengri's side. They know that they're playing versus the eco of Quantum, as they just previously won that round and resetted them there. So, potentially as well, no AWP leading into the second buy round of the half. So that could play a major factor, as obviously Ramzik with his AWP is so impactful. But we see AWP or rifle, he does always play aggressive, and that's what you want on your CT side, a player that plays aggressive. You're thinking about Fur, Olafmeister, Dupree, these players that play aggressive on the CT side and gather information.
Talking about playing aggressive, it's going to be just a complete straight dart towards short, but look at the CT side. They're not actually holding the site, they're sitting passively. They're waiting for the pushes to come towards their direction, and Sonic gonna make it work. Finds himself 2 for his troubles, looking now for even a third. The bomb is gonna go down. That is the risk from playing that far back. But even then, it's actually gonna be dropped, so they sneak that one in.
Yeah, no bomb plant for Quantum, and that might play a major role, as I don't think there's going to be an AWP on either side. Actually, no, Dastan did fall, so they can rebuy the AWP here, potentially. No, actually, the player that had enough for the AWP, Fitch, he opts to buy a Molotov, and that's fair enough. 5 rifles is still fine. We know Ramzik's definitely got crisp enough aim to use either or, the AWP or the rifle. The problem is, though, Rocket, instead of buying the AK, he's only got Tech 9 and utility, so we could be seeing a fast player here.
Something notable for Tengri is now, we have to remember, is that Sonic, he's performing a lot better on this second side. He's starting to really wake up, which means that the entirety of this CT side is brought back to a much more level playing field, should we say, which is certainly a bit of a different affair as the execute, well, not really execute at that, but Smoke's going to begin to take some form over towards mid. A lot of pressure beginning to build up from QB, and Ramzik, well, he talked about his form, straight through the smoke, a headshot on towards Rocker.
It was actually a one-way. There's actually a one-way that he threw. I don't think Quantum realised what happened there. But Dastan now default beat. Can he hold the line? He needs to find multiple frags, but Waterfalls with a nice headshot. 2 headshots. Takes down the star player Dastan. And sorry, not the star player Dastan. Star player Ramzik, he falls. Anyway, the fly of frags is still going in the favour of both these teams. This is the 2 versus 2.
Undo gonna find the headshot on towards Fitch. So seal the deal off the back of that as Itzmi gets the easy one on towards Keen, but
they needed that.
I actually want to look towards Connector for a second there, because that's not the first time we've seen this in this map, and even today on a whole, Balb, he gets the jump, he's holding the flank, tucked into that corner in Connector, he gets pushed, the player doesn't even check him, and Balb whiffs all the shots face first.
Yeah, it was actually Keen on the T side of Tengri that was playing the lurk towards Connector. But the biggest thing there is obviously Waterfall's entries. Dastan wide facing him, no flash, just trust. The thing is there, you shouldn't commit that hard as you saw there. If you're going to play for the information, knowing if you're being surrounded, it's Jiggle Peek. Jiggle Peek, you see no one there, then you hold B-apps. Jiggle Peek, you see someone there, then that's when you can go for the full commit face, knowing that your crosshair is going to be aiming at someone's head. And instead, he wide faces into Waterfalls, and Waterfalls kills both Dastan and Ramzik on that site. And now going to this buy. It's quite a strange one, but most importantly here, the AWP is on Ramzik. He needs to find the first frag here.
Well, you set out his task today. He's got the to-do list in his back pocket. But whether he can actually live up to that and get it done, or whether it's going to be a whole lot of procrastination that leaves them sat with really not too much to be gained, that is the big question. Of course, it is going to be a bit of a slow burner. Still a minute left on the clock, so by all means, no reason for them to rush. But we do have them beginning to get themselves into position. Utility going to be expended. The clean peek coming from Itzmi is punishing. And there's the passive play. You read it like a book. It's going to sit back behind the smokes.
You see him get the first frag and they all instantly retreat. But apart from that, they do double face. Sonic finds one, but will be traded out. The damage is done to those CT players. They're such low HP, and Rocker finds a headshot and a second frag. And the bomb goes towards B, so the fake does work. And the CT players right now, they just need to save.
There's pretty much nothing they can do. They're just going to dip on towards that site at least. You try and upgrade where applicable. But even then, can they get away? Is the angle going to be held by Rocker? Finds himself the pick on towards Daston, and this leaves Keen a FAMAS in hand, 5 HP. His odds of saving, they look like they're dwindling.
Yeah, but currently there's no players facing him there, so maybe he could save this, but the FAMAS isn't really what you want to save at this point. Going into the next round, though, potentially you've seen so far that the force buy did not work in Tengri's side. They have rounds to, let go. They're 3 rounds ahead, or 2 rounds ahead now, so they can save the next one and allow QB Fire to make it to 11, and then buy once it hits that 12-12 mark and try and take them first front forward.
You talk about it as almost as if you're pretty much summing up that for these guys right now, it's just about putting the correct foot forward. They don't want to make those mistakes. They want to be pinpoint perfect, and they want to use everything they've got in their back pockets, right? Which brings us to a nice question in regards to utility, because we are starting to see movement coming out from this T side and making it a much closer affair. Going into this next round, are we going to expect to see another kind of very biased smoke level of play? Because that has been a big part of their rounds when they've been going towards mid, for example. They've just been dropping a smoke here, and they're using those effectively shrouds, as we can deceive them as.
Yeah, it's all you really need to do, though. Once you smoke the top of mid, it's so hard for the AWP to find any frags in mid unless you do push through the short smoke or do face towards Delpan. So that's why generally the AWPers sometimes when they have a good spawn towards A, they will run towards connector and they will catch you as you are running from top mid towards back boxes. And that's usually why you see the Molotov go towards connector. Completely stops any chances of the AWP finding the first frag, and usually from there the T's take control of mid. And actually here, the T's are going to be doing that. They're going to be playing nice and slow. And I quite like this play, expecting the pistol push towards mid. And then it's going to play nice and safe.
And safety is going to be a positive for them. But that's only for now. We have to see how things are going to swing towards the latter portion, which is only a little while away. As it is looking like we are seeing the mid peak come out from Keen. Now, the CTCI, they have to try and make a play here, right? Which is why we are seeing them go so ballsy towards the top of mid. The flash coming out from the rest of the team is going to be very smart. But Baub, he's sitting in the corner. He peeks on out, gets himself the information, now knows exactly where to look towards. But does he know he's about to face a possibly overwhelming force as Rocker finds himself a second pick? And Tengri, their push has been dismantled. Keen will find himself one, but he's burning away in the flames. Will have to peek on out and gets punished by Undo. They've kept it close. A little bit of discoordination kind of punished them.
But you see the difference I was talking about before, not completely committing. Instead, jiggle peeks for information, and then wide faces where he knows his crosshair will find a target. And now it's my on top of ticket booth. Want to tap away these players, but doesn't quite connect the shots just yet. But there's no armor on these CT players, so the chance of them winning this round with no kit as well is definitely dwindling.
Bomb is going to find its way down, which certainly does limit more on the time. I don't think that's really going to play a part in things, to be honest, especially when you have to just take stock of that map. Daston got himself his running shoes on, and he is sprinting as far away from the action as he possibly can, looking like he's going to try and set up towards the the exit frag spot of T. But he knows, and I think it's probably a safe call to make, that for QB, exiting towards CT for them, it's a pretty solid bet for them, and considering where that bomb went down and the information he had, it's a given. So he's going to walk away unscathed, gets a rifle, doesn't get to save Kevlar and such, but his economy at least going to be somewhat propped up off the back of that.
It's an AK, and if Ramsik can't buy an AWP, you can drop it to Fitch or Ramsik as well. We might even see that come out just because you want the AK on those aggressive young star talents. Try and net them the first frag, and the buy shall come out. Actually, yep, he will drop the AK over to Fitch. So, as I've just mentioned before, you want to drop the rifle with the one-shot headshot towards your star young players and try and get them aggressive and trying to find the first frag. And you don't want to play slow if you're Tengri right now. You know the AWP is in the side of the T's. If it goes to that mid-round, having the AWP to play for picks is so important.
Going to be the same setup coming out from QB. They get that smoke down towards the tips of short. Going to be undergoing very, very aggressive in towards connector. Utility going to be expended pretty much all over the place, and he just pushes right through. No flashes even needing to be popped, but he still finds himself the headshot. He's been given so much room by the CT side, who are now playing passively on towards the site. They're trying to almost go for a bit of a retake setup, but the discoordination could be punishing his Fitch. He's going to dive on through, finds himself one, gets a second. Undo, how is he letting this one happen? Makes it towards a triple kill. Fitch steps up for Tengri. It makes this one workable now, but it's me over towards the site, looking to beat his hard anchor. He gets a 3k of his own. And well, why are they still facing? That is the prompting question. They just sit and let them do it, leaving us to a 1v1 off the back of yet again just another face.
He's got the AWP as well. This is so hard for him. Drops his pistol to try and bait it for a flash, and actually picks up the rifle as well, but it's Monster Player spraying through the box, but 23 HP. Oh, that nade could be the Kobe. Oh, it does take him down. Dastan falls. Tengri, they win it. Without the AWP, and you see what happened there. They tried to get aggressive. They had the play in connector, trying to get aggro towards mid, and they boosted, not boosted, sorry, but they had 2 players towards short, trying to pincer mid, and that was actually a smart play. Problem was, though, rock, paper, scissors went in favor of the T-siders. Quantum, they opted for the fast A play.
Yeah, 2 back-to-back 3Ks as well. That's certainly something you don't expect every day. But hey-ho. It's less about the past and more about the present, as we're in our 25th round. And Tengri, it's not, by all means a solid buy. They've got an SMG and such, thrown on in there, and their utility lacking on their core 3. But Ramzik and Dastan, they have enough, and this is, again, another fightable spot for them. But QB, 5 flat rifles, arguably got more. It's going to be an equal footing as they set themselves up to push towards the B site.
Yes, to do. The flashes come out. 5 players here. Dastan needs to find multiple frags to hold off this T attack. The first frag goes in front of the Ts, will be refragged, and now 4 versus 3. The retake comes in, and there are kits, so they can play this a bit slower if they opt to. But actually, undo pulls his knife. I'll get caught off guard by Keen. That SMG trying to spit out another one, but Waterfalls has the cover of his teammate. It's 2 versus 2. Low HP still on Bab, though. Fitch pushing towards bench now. Can he find the frag onto Bab? Yes, he can. Sprays him down. It's such a low HP. Rock on the 1 versus 2 finds a nice headshot down to Fitch and sprays down the second player. Ramzik falls.
This is a bloodbath. There was no way we were expecting it to go that way at all. Great work coming out from either side of the board, but Rocker, he steps up just that little bit further, and that's enough to do it. QB, they get themselves to 12. They keep up the good fight. Just look at the the surgical way he approaches it. Gets that first, rotates towards the second. The crosshair, ever so tracking.
Yes, it is. Great round there from Rocker. The 3K for the rifle, and such a passive AWP player. It's quite nice to see him play nice and aggressive with his rifle. So maybe the change of pace is what he needed personally. As we saw in the start of the game, he was whiffing so many shots. Maybe it was a technical issue. We don't know yet. But first frag going in favor of Quantum. They do find that first kill. And Sonic falls. Not too much reading into this one as they are on the full eco. So 13-13 potentially and probably. Going into that round, what's been working for Tengri? What's been working for Quantum, do you think?
I think for Quantum right now, it comes down to them having to choose when to push, right? Because when they try and push but then don't bite the bullet, sometimes they get caught completely off guard by the CT side. But at the same time, they have pushed too early at times as well, and that's been punishing. So it's a very clear double-edged sword, which pretty much comes down to their mid-round calls. They do feel a little bit all over the place, but then it's that kind of, again, sometimes perfect, sometimes just a couple of seconds off. But QB, they feel like they've got the edge, and I'm going to go as far as to say right now it feels like we may be seeing a 16-14 in their favor if they can keep this up.
Thing is, though, Dastan, can he find the frag? He's spraying the P250. It does. Runs out bullet there. Bullets down. Unfortunate for him. Does fall. 2 versus 5. No pistols. Obviously going in the favor of Quantum here. But to match your point there, it feels like Tengri, or not Tengri, when Quantum play fast, they seem to get the rounds. And that could be individual skill across the full 5 players. Yes, Fitch. Yes, Ramzik are such, good players. The problem is, Dastan, Sonic, and Keen, they've been falling a bit flat on their CT side. And when Quantum play fast and aggressive, it goes in their favor. And you see what happens as well. When the fast retake came out for Tengri, Quantum, they won that. I want to see Quantum try and make it more of a passive game. Have an AWP come out, try and get the picks going in their favor. Try and slow down the round, because once that first frag comes out in favor of the CTs, that slows down the Ts, and once it hits that mid-round point, it seems like Tengri always pull it through, but they're going to be forced buying now 3 FAMASs, and right now it's looking quite bleak for them.
Another thing that really sits for me is it feels like Tengri have lost their flair in terms of one man stepping up to the plate, and we talked about a little while ago how Sonic was stepping up in the second half, but the rest of the team, they're all kind of at this level pedestal at this point, which is removing that opening ability at times, which again allows QB to keep up the fight, get themselves to this equalization point 13-13, and now brings us to that prediction of 16-14.
Smokes towards CT. The default smokes come out. They have an AWP, so quite a strange thing to do, really. You usually see that come out only. Oh, actually, they're going for the double fake. The smokes towards A, and then the push B, so the CTs will think this is a B take, and then the second fake comes in as they will attack towards A. I do like it. Mounting such a pressure play at 13-13 when all is at stake. Quite a smart play. The problem is, though, the nerves of Steel and Tengri. I mentioned the experiences on their side, and it's definitely showing us there's no over-rotations from the CT side, and actually 3 players playing close towards A, and this is the side that the Ts are going to hit.
Yeah, this double fake, it has done absolutely nothing. The push, it's going to be all but reliant on towards that. We have to hope that they've got everything they need to make at least this one look somewhat sensible in the grand scheme of things, as the utility will be lacking just with the sheer amount they invested in towards that fake, but thankfully they do keep, I believe it was 2 smokes in their back pocket, which is enough to get down that jungle smoke and the flashes and stuff to follow on up, so they do have themselves enough. But it's still bare minimum. But how about undo? They will combine 2 back-to-back headshots. Going to be picked on up. A third to be claimed by Waterfalls. He goes aggressive towards stairs. Keen, yes, he's guarded information, but he needs to bite a bullet. He actually needs to try and contest this one now, which, in fairness, he finds the push on towards It's Me. But isn't that going to be enough? The bomber's going to go down. It's a 4v2.
Such a tempting save as well. That stands so far away. Player in the whorehouse will let him fall past, and I mentioned it was a tempting save, and that player will fall. So there's only one saved gun here. Initially, the problem is, can he save it? Misses the jump. But does land eventually. But the problem is, they'll undo coming from underpass. Might take the gun out of his hand. He did spot the head, so we'll reface knowing where he is. Problem is now, the T's have the information. They're all pushing towards him like vultures to a dead corpse. That's a note. Freaks out, peeks out, takes down Waterfalls. Can he get the second one? Yes, he can. So, staying alive and Rocker all the way in T-spawn. Don't think much is going to come from that. So, does save the gun, which is well played to him. The problem is those 3 frags came far, far too late. And 14-13. Tengri, I mean, if I was them right now, I wouldn't have forced into that previous round because you want the AWP for Ramsik, you want the utility as well. They just can't hold the sights.
What a time to call a pause, though. I think that's, what you have to read into now for Tengri, is that they just, decided, what, it's time for that tactical. Which
it's because they're... Oh, sorry to interrupt you. I'm really sorry to do that. It's because they're thinking, do we allow QB5 to go to 15? Or do we try and force back and make it 14-14 and just win out? Or do they want to play for overtime? That's the call going through their heads right now. They're thinking, do we force and try and make this 14-14, or do we save and play for overtime?
I'm looking at this and I'm running through all of the possible, situations in my head and go, okay, what is the possibility, of them closing this one out if they decide to wait, or if they decide to go aggressive and try and force the hand and not allow that, kind of...
Are they buying?
Looks like we are beginning to see... kind of squeezing it up towards my second one. I was trying to take a look at what they're doing right now because I can't quite see it, but it looks like they are contesting.
Initially, I quite like this because it might catch Quantum off guard, but the problem is, if they lose this, it's potentially the game out of hand, and the rifles are out for Fitch, so he's going to get aggressive with his, which is what you want, and actually it gains quite a lot of map control. But the problem is, the CTs, they did double push towards Palestine, he will fall, but it's going to be heavy stack towards A. 3 players here, and 5 of these T players slowly stacking up towards A, and we will be seeing potentially a B contact or maybe late B execute. I don't feel like smokes will matter too much in this one, because if you do smoke down, that allows the pistols to try and worm and weave themselves around those smokes, and that might even play into their hand. So you could just potentially see some Molotovs, and yeah, 1 smoke here, that's fine. It's just a full execute.
That's got so much work to do, but he misses every single shot. That is devastating. Just can't quite get anything done at all. As now the CT side, they're so withdrawn, they have to try and retake, but they just don't have the tool set to make it work. They have to go quick and aggressive together as a unit. But they're playing right into the hands of QB. Just molded like putty at this point, as they just cannot find these frags. Keen, the last man remaining. It feels like a perfect round from this T side.
Perfect indeed. 5 players still alive, but money isn't too important. They have enough to buy into the next 2 rounds if they can't quite close this out. And all to do for now, do or die for the Tengri side, as they will have to force into this one as well, forcing every single round. And I mentioned initially I like the play, but the problem is when they went towards B, it made it so hard for those pistols to have any impact. And the long range duels and even the close range ones went in favor of Tengri there, as they take down the B site and they win that round. So 15-13, 2 rounds apart, and can they make it to overtime?
Certainly is a big ask, especially when you look at what they've got in their back pockets. And, well, we said 16-14, potentially a 16-13, but ever so close right down to the wire. We need to see a play. That's, I think, a given at this point. Someone has to step up on this Tengri side. Someone has to prove just how hard they want this as an individual, culminating with the rest of the team, to make this one stick for them. Because, you look at what they can bring. A Mag 7 on towards Keen. He's playing close towards ramp, but the T side, they're nowhere near to be seen. They may rotate late, and we are getting a bit of an inkling the bomb isn't quite set on where it wants to go. But at the same time, that's just one man close ramp. There's still a lot more that has to be done. The scout of Ramsek would be nice if it can find some tags. If it does, especially on this push, it does make the pistol's job that little bit easier. But again, it's a whole lot of what ifs, and it's a pretty big thing to explore.
You mentioned the individual players. The thing is that they do have flashes, so they can flash for teammates. They can play in unison just a little bit. The problem is, though, Keen playing close ramp with this mag 7. Can he find the first? No, he turns! Oh my goodness, Undo finds the first.
He tries to dodge the flash and he makes a mess of things. It will be Fitch under towards Shadow. Tries to do his best, but it's not quite enough. But Ramzik with the scout finds out the headshot on towards Itsme, leaves it to a 3v3. Waterfall's just 7 HP after all. A single shot will end his day. Ramzik, he's going for this one. He's got himself the scat, goes for the tag on towards Bao, but misses the shot. This is not quite going to work now. Bao going to go ever so aggressive with the rifle, but Daston constantly strafes with his pistol, just uses the mobility to his advantage. Rocker to miss the next. And it's all onto Waterfalls.
No, he does fall. Ramzik wins that. Star player coming in clutch there. 2 frags for him that round. The scout headshot, and then the final 1 versus 1 goes in his favor as the player had such low HP. 1 bullet from the AK will seal the deal. 15-14. We could be seeing overtime, and as I mentioned before, the money is good on Quantum's side, so they can buy into the next round. And the round following that in case they do lose it. Actually, no, this is the final round, my bad. Obviously, the 30th round now, so AWP coming out for Rocker. I want to see him try and get an impact into this final round. He is the most experienced player here. The IGL, can he take it forward?
Certainly he's going to have his work cut out for him, but these two teams, should we say, on a much even playing field. And Tengri, albeit the start of that round looked very, very messy for them towards the latter portion, the individual play stepped up. Now, cloning that, it's not an easy thing to do, but something that's not always been mentioned is that teams, especially a team like Tengri, when you look at these players like Ramzik, so young, he's going to have a whole lot of passion for the game, which means he's feeling it right now. He wants this. The push.
Right now does get flashed up. The nade not connected too much, but the spray comes out, does take that waterfall, and the bomb shall fall as well towards the van. So this is going to be hard to retrieve. What are they doing? They should be... Yes, they should be killing him. He does go down. It's actually going to be a second kill as well for the T's, but Ramzik with the reply. Another kill as well. Ramzik, the star, 16-year-old, coming in when it matters. But he does eventually get traded out, and Rocker will find him 2 versus 2.
Playing for overtime, playing for the map in the case of QB, but who is going to make it work? Because they are going to try and get themselves that bomb on towards the site. The angle going to be held, but Undo, at just a millisecond, is going to lose the advantage of that peak, and they're going to land in towards Market, but even then, just a staggering amount of damage. And it's a passive setup coming from the CD side. They are just going to wait. They know that, well, the bomb has to go down at some point. They have 40 seconds to do it. It's all but a question of when. As Keen, slowly but surely, is going to go for the peak, but Rocker goes for the continuous spray and finds both headshots. Huge play coming out from him, and they get themselves the win.
God, look at the joy on their faces. They're so happy with the play they've had there. Almost looks like Undo is about to cry.
It goes back to that point about passion. We talk about how much these guys, on both sides of the board, care about the game. This means so much to them. Just getting out of groups, making that happen, getting to playoffs. Now they can go into the real test, the playoffs, where they get those BO3s. They have to make sure their maps are on point, but even then, they've got there. They've got themselves one step closer to the major main qualifier.
Yep, obviously they will have to play the best of 3 later on to determine who will be going to the minor and who will not be. But nevertheless, they do take this one and secure it. So 16-14. I feel like every game Tengri has played so far at the minor has been 16-14, and unfortunately for them, this time on Mirage versus Quantum, they do lose it. But at the same time, if you're Ramzik and if you're Fitch right now, you should be happy with your performance here. They did play their hearts out and get some experience under your belt and come back to the next lands, the next minors, maybe the next domestic lands, and just try and keep getting the experience under your belt, because there is definitely talent on that Tengri side.
Either way, it has, of course, been a pleasure, but we have the conclusion of Group A and Group B. Now the best thing to do is to head to a break, as we'll be right back with you with playoffs very, very soon.
E-Gaming Bets, online betting for everyone.